Stella will be sneaking around this time.
What?
Yeah, the next game will be Dishonored. And we have two guests with us on the desk, Dinga and Christopher. And you guys are gonna talk about Dishonored, but what is the second part of the name of the game?
Death of the Outsider.
So what is it about?
So it's about the quest of Billy Lurk, who is like a character that we've met in the DLCs for the first Dishonored, and we've seen her as with a different persona in Dishonored 2, and she's an assassin. She's a kill for hire in the world of Dishonored, and she has lost sight of her mentor, who's called Dowd, who's like a legendary supernatural assassin, and she's going to find him. And the thing is that this guy is in a crazy quest for personal reasons. The outsider must die. They are going to kill a god.
Yeah, so basically, this is the third Dishonored, but at the same time, you can think about it as like an expansion for the second one. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think it's both. I mean, it depends. If you focus on Billy and the gameplay mechanics you were exploring this time, it's its own thing. And I think it's really interesting to be using this format. But if you take the broader scope of things, yes, it's both an expansion to Dishonored 2, but also to the Dowd DLCs from Dishonored 1. So we like to have like this kind of echo, you know, like the main game, Dishonored 1 shipped, and then there was this echo with the story of Dowd, the killer of the Empress, and his redemption story, and then we go back to the main thread with Corvo and Emily in Dishonored 2, and now we are going to go back to the thread of the underworld of Karnaka in this case, and it was done well the first time.
Alright, awesome to hear. Christoph is the designer of the levels, right?
Yeah, I'm a lead level design director.
So
Beautiful, by the way. Great work.
it's
Very nice.
the previous parts were amazing as well. What can we expect from the new one when it comes to the levels, the intricacy of the levels that we can
Well,
witness?
you will still be able to go through, multiple paths, of course, because that's kind of the identity of our game, like being able to reach any place in the level from anywhere.
Yeah, that's an actually amazing thing for Dishonored, that you can either see, you can be brutal and just kill people, right? And this is something that you still have in the new one, right?
Of course, yeah. The difference in this new game is that we get the power from the beginning, every power from the beginning.
Oh, so fully kitted out.
Yeah, and as level designers, it was really liberating for us, because in the first one, every meeting we had on the brainstorms were like, what if the player has this power? What if the player doesn't have this power?
So you had to adjust the levels.
So we had to think of every possibilities, and it was more difficult to make the levels in this way. In Death of the Outsider now, we know that the player will have every power from the beginning, so we crafted some areas where as we know which power the player will have, then we can do little situations where they have to use the powers. So and I think it makes the level a little bit more specifics in some areas.
Okay. What did you guys introduce as a new feature to the Dishonored Death of the Outsider?
Wow, and by the way, a way to look at this is the usual way would have been to just make a DLC. The first time that's what we did, and it worked. We were able to tell a cool story, the DLC was cool. But I think the idea of making kind of a standalone product was that it gave us more time to actually make new features and have them be pretty specific, and actually rethink some of the systems, like even the core systems of the game. We ripped out something, so we have as Toph said, we have three main powers this time, and you get them from the start. One of them is the displace power. It allows you to basically place a marker in the world and then instantly move to it. So it's different from Blink, where it's just like target somewhere, get there. It's like you can place that in advance, go to sneak and kill someone, get it on your shoulder, and immediately recall.
It's like an escape rope.
Yeah, it can be an escape rope, but it can also be a pretty interesting tactical tool for combat. Like you lure the enemies in a way, and then you appear behind them and start slitting their
Take them
throats.
out. Take them out.
It's so yeah, it's pretty. I think so. This power is pretty cool. We have the foresight power, which basically freezes the whole world, including you, and you leave your body as kind of an astral projection with like some kind of umbilical cord linking you to your body. And you can basically kind of fly around and go into small places, explore the level as a reconnaissance tool. Go through the rat passage, small openings and stuff like that. And mark enemies, and you can also, by the way, place the marker for the displays while you're in this mode. So you can, imagine a situation like it's useful for exploration, stealth, etc. But even in combat, you freeze the world with foresight. Enemies are stopped like this, and then you're like, I'll place my marker just behind that guy, so I get a sniper shot on him, and then go back in the. So it gives a pretty tactical. It opens up pretty cool tactical options in the game.
So it gets more complex, basically, with this part.
I think we made them in a way that they are, I think, simpler to use in a way because you don't have to worry about resource management this time. So Corvo's and Emily's powers came from the Mark of the Outsider that was like kind of draining you, and that was why you had to drink stimulants with the potions in order to be able to use your powers. This time, Lily is tapping her supernatural energy directly from the void, which is like a limitless source of energy, so it regenerates over time, meaning that you're way more free to experiment with those powers and make those crazy combinations that might not be resource efficient in the former games. At this time, you can go crazy and experiment and make mistakes and basically be a bit bolder with your abilities.
So you can go nuts.
Yeah,
in this game.
I feel like the abilities are really unique to themselves and they can play a lot of stuff. What were the challenges introducing these new abilities and still keeping the other ones really relevant?
I think the philosophy going into those powers were that Billy is a supernatural assassin, and that's what she has in common with Corvo, Emily, and Dowd. So we are going to explore the same, themes, and that's like fast displacement, that's stealth, that's reconnaissance. So we knew and lethality. So we knew we were going to explore those themes, but we chose, I would say, we basically, I think the challenge was that even with Emily, finding alternatives to Corvo's powers was a challenge, and it was really a cool challenge for a game designer, I have to say, because for instance, Blink was awesome. Why would you want something else? Well, you have to make it really awesome, and that's how you get far reach for Emily. Yeah. And so this time around, it was again trying to not just go the easy road and, for instance, play as Dowd. We know his powers; that would have been a perfectly fine character to play as, but we really wanted to again challenge ourselves, try to find cool abilities, try to and as Toph said earlier, integrate them a bit more in the level design with specific situations and challenges and things like that.
One of the new features we have as well is the contracts. So if you go into the black markets, Billy being an assassin and a thief, she kind of used to do contracts for other people. And we implement this feature where you can go into the black market and take a contract. And it's 4 or 5 side quests that you can do in each levels. They give you money, they give you bone charms, and it's another way to, these are side quests that are directly related to the underground nature of Billy.
You can actually learn like the lore of the game as well.
Yeah, you understand that she's basically at the beginning she was an assassin and a thief.
Right. And if I may, there's another thing I'd like to say about the novelties, because that's weird, because when we come back for a DLC, usually you're trying to talk around the fact that you don't have a lot of novelty, and here it's like we never have enough space to talk about all the stuff we added to the game. But I think one interesting thing is that the way Billy upgrades her power is very different. So it's not about like finding runes that is in effect a new currency to buy upgrades. and then you stack all those upgrades one on top of each other, and you get like more and more and more powerful. This time it's about like finding black bone charms. We went deep into that, the bone charm systems.
Yep.
And you find those bone charms that improve your powers, and some of them have a trade-off, so they allow you, for instance, to stay invisible for 3 seconds after you're displaced, but in exchange, you can,
cool.
it's shorter. So, and basically it's cool because you can deck out your character on the fly at any moment and say, this is more fit for this situation, and I think it opens up a lot of freedom and experimentation for the player and changing his mind and play style and stuff like that.
That's pretty awesome. So, last question: when is going to be released?
15th of September.
That's pretty
Coming up.
close. All right, awesome. Thank you very much for the presentation.
Thank you.
Now we're going to wrap it up with a trailer of the new Dishonored, and after that we're going to be back with